Hello everyone and welcome back to Warehouse and Operations as a Career. Today I want to talk about turnover. Now I'm not talking about the dollars it costs, the HR paperwork, maybe some orientation expenses. Some look at just the expense side of it. But in operations, we know there's much more to it. Turnover isn't just about dollars. It's about disruptions, headaches, safety concerns, and sometimes even customer complaints. And turnover looks different depending on which side of the fence you're standing on. For management, it's lost productivity and constant hiring. For associates, it's frustration, unmet expectations, or simply searching for stability. I'm Marty, and today I'd like to walk through both sides, and I'll share a few stories from my own experiences along the way. Back when I was a supervisor, we had an order selector quit right after his second week. The company had already paid for his drug screen, background check, orientation, and 2 weeks of training. We had spent several $1,000s before he ever made it to full production. That's money that we would never get back. Multiply that by 10 associates over a few months. Well, you can do the math. But again, I want to try and stay away from the money side of it or those types of concerns. Here's a good operational struggle. I remember a time we lost 3 reach truck drivers in the same month. We scrambled to backfill with temps and cross-trained floor associates, but the result was slower inbound putaways and a backlog of freight. Supervisors who should have been coaching were on the lifts moving pallets themselves. And what happened? Errors went up, overtime went up, and morale went down. That's what turnover does on the floor. And I've got to share a quick safety story too, right? We once had a brand new forklift driver who was still nervous behind the wheel. He was an experienced operator, but from another type of industry, and he was getting used to our pick paths and aisles. Because of turnover, he was thrown into the mix faster than he should have been. One day, he clipped a bollard post at the end of an aisle by a fire door crossing. Nobody got hurt, thankfully. But the cost of repairing the concrete and writing up the incident and closing down that cross-dock area or cut-through really slowed things down for about 2 or 3 days. I've always felt that every time someone leaves, the break room talk gets a little bit louder. You know, things like, why did they quit? Where'd they go? Did they go somewhere better? Before long, you've got 3 other associates wondering if the grass is greener somewhere else. I've seen 1 resignation turn into 3 within a week just because people start second-guessing their own situation. So what can us as leads, supervisors, managers, directors, and VPs do to help with turnover in our industry? One thing is better onboarding or better hiring or whatever you want to call it. I once worked at a facility where new hires were just dropped off on the floor and told something like, follow Joe around for the night. That's not onboarding or welcoming. Compare that to another warehouse I visited later. They had a structured 2-day orientation, introduced the new hires to their supervisors, and even paired them with mentors for the first week. Guess which site had the lower turnover? I'm going to use one of my favorite words real quick, communication. We as managers, we have to be clear, and our recruiters or hiring agents have to be transparent. One of the fastest ways to lose people is by not being upfront about expectations. I'll never forget when an associate told me, I was hired for 4 10-hour shifts. Now they're telling me I have to work 5 12s. He quit that same day. If schedules change, communicate them as soon as possible. If standards and the task or the productivity are tough, explain the why part of it. Associates will handle tough work if they trust you to tell them the truth. And we should be recognizing a job well done. People want and people deserve recognition. At one warehouse, we started giving out gift cards to the top 2 selectors each week. It wasn't a fortune, but it made people feel noticed. Turnover dropped by almost 20% over the next quarter. Sometimes recognition is worth more than a raise to people. Oh, and here's another word I love: listening. As frontline managers, we have to have listening skills. I worked at a site where selectors complained nonstop about how far apart some fast-moving slots were. Productivity suffered, and people left because the job felt impossible. When we reslotted the warehouse to bring those SKUs closer together, guess what? Productivity went up, frustration went down, and people stuck around. Here's a short listening story. Early in my career, I was a, get it done type of lead. I pushed productivity pretty hard, and I didn't always listen as well as I should have. Turnover in our department was pretty high. When I learned to coach instead of command, listening to associates, helping them find solutions, showing them I valued their input, the numbers improved immediately. People want to share, and they should be listened to. And it's our job as those leads, supervisors, managers, directors, and VPs to listen to them. I promise you that you'll learn something new every day if you do. Now, I don't want to take up too much time talking about the company's cost and challenges with turnover. I want to get to the other side of the coin real quick. The cost or challenges of turnover to us as associates. Okay, we all want to be appreciated, and I don't think that's too much to ask. I once sat down with an associate who told me, "I've been here for 3 years and nobody's ever said thank you to me." That made my heart a little sad. He was a solid worker, but he left a month later. Associates want to know that they matter. This was at a customer's facility. I, of course, shared my talk with his supervisor, but I think it was too little too late. Now, what if, and I'm not saying it was his responsibility, but what if he had gone and spoken with his supervisor? Things may have been fixed, and his supervisor may have grown some as well. A young guy I knew started with me as a loader. He was sharp, fast, and wanted more responsibility. He kept asking about training on the reach truck, but the answer was always, yes, we'll get to it. After his first month, he quit and joined another company that would train him. That turned out to be a missed opportunity and a preventable turnover. I've shared with you that within my first month, I knew loading trucks just wasn't going to be for me. My friend had told me that he could get me on over at his new place, and I was pretty interested. I went to my boss, shared what was going on, and was moved to the back in the high-rise area and trained on the high-rise machine. As you long-term listeners know, I stayed with that same company for many more years. And again, safety is important to us as associates. I heard from an employee once who said, I don't feel safe here. People are running backwards in the aisles, not honking their horns, and nobody seems to care. 2 weeks later, he was gone. Safety isn't just compliance, it's part of our retention. And here's an important one. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I never know when I'm going to be working. Associates don't quit because of hard work. They quit because they can't plan their lives. A predictable schedule is worth as much as a raise to many people. A predictable schedule doesn't have to be a set hour, but it has to be communicated. In our business, it's usually going to be start to finish. That's one of the points that should be mentioned at our startup meetings. It's easy to share what time will probably be off each day. We know the cases per hour, the head count, or available man hours, and the total cases for the shift. It should be shared with us. So what else? Let me see. What did I leave off? Oh, here. Okay, let's be honest. Unloading 1,000 cases by hand in the summer heat for X number of dollars an hour feels different than running a cash register and the air conditioning for the same pay. Associates will weigh effort against reward, growth and career opportunity. And if the balance feels unfair, they're gone. All these examples do hurt us as well, though. At almost every interview I'm asked, or I will ask, and why did you leave so-and-so's job? If we say because I didn't get to operate a lift, or my hours were unpredictable, or I wasn't earning enough, those things could sound negative and hurt us even more. I've always found that talking it out first, communicating, will sometimes or usually help us sort things out. Well, when we put both perspectives side by side, the picture is clear. Turnover is tough and more expensive than I brought up today. And turnover is not a positive thing for our careers either. Turnover for us on the floor, both as management and as associates, is frustrating, obstructive, demoralizing, challenging, can be a safety concern too, and just flat out gets in the way of our growth. Oh, let me see, I made this little note for myself. From management's view, turnover wrecks productivity, raises cost, and adds safety risk. From the associate's view, turnover happens when we feel invisible, unsafe, or stuck. I guess I said the same thing just in different ways, didn't I? Anyway, the solutions overlap. Good onboarding, communication, recognition, fair processes, and supportive supervisors reduce turnover on both sides. And when turnover goes down, operations stabilize. Customers get better service. Associates build careers instead of bouncing between jobs. So the next time turnover comes up in a meeting, don't just think of it as an HR expense. Think about the overtime your supervisors are working, the backlog building and receiving, the safety incident that almost happened, or the good associate you lost because no one said thank you. Turnover is not just about money, it's about operations, and fixing it is about people. And for the associates listening, remember, you have a voice in this too. If you are looking for stability, speak up. Ask about training. Ask about career paths. Find a place that values you and commit to it. That's how you turn a job into a career. At the end of the day, reducing turnover is about alignment. Companies and associates both want the same thing: stability, safety, and success. If we can get there together, everyone wins. I think we're at a stopping point for the day, so we'll end with that. Thanks for stopping by again this week. Have a safe week ahead, and let's help each other grow in our professional lives this quarter.